Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm Heather Forgan of stampwithnellie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. And today I'm taking part in the Project Share blog hop with my friends Verity, Vicky and Jane. Each week we share a project of each other's, and once a month we design a brand new project to hop around each other's blogs. And our theme for this month is embossing. So I'm going to be using the Gingerbread Man stamp set and dies. Look at the size of that gingerbread man, and this gorgeous Christmas tags and more designer series paper. So it has these designs where you can cut out the tags. It has just normal designs as well, and then there are some sort of ephemera pieces at the back that you can pop out as well. Fabulous pack, very useful. But mainly I'm going to be using this to do some embossing and create another card similar to this one. So I'm using heat embossing techniques today, so you'll see I've got some very shiny elements on this card and they are all heat embossed, and I'm going to show you how to do it. First up, I have a piece of pecan pie card that I've already cut the other one out of, and an embossing buddy. I'm just going to add that powder on there because I've already used this piece of card, and make sure that I am taking off any static and any fingerprint residue, etc. Now I've already mounted 3 stamps onto this block. So you've got the outline. Let me just bring him back in so you can perhaps see it a bit better. Then his face, there are various stamps in his face for a kind of shocked, a wink, a smile, and that other little sort of grin on there as well. And then I've also put that stamp in the middle. So I'm going to stamp all of that at one time instead of having to add it in 3 different pieces. So I'm inking this with Versamark, which is a sticky ink, and then embossing powder will stick to that when I've put that down. I think that's probably enough, Heather. Now I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat, put my piece of card on that, and then pop that on there and give that a decent press. Making sure I've got pressure on all of those little bits as well. And then peel it off, and you can see that outline there of my stamp. So I've got a scrap piece here I'm going to bring in, and for this part I need my white embossing powder. I'll just sprinkle that on, make sure I've covered all of the pieces. Got enough on there. None of that is wasted. That's going to go back into the pot like so. Okay, I have a little brush. If I can get this lid back on. Okay. There are a couple of little bits in there. Just gently take them off. Right, I'm going to heat this just now, so I'll put it on mute and probably fast forward as well. That has all been heat set. I'm going to put that to the side, let it cool before I die cut it. And I'm going to show you how I made the other little pieces on here. So you'll see that this candy cane, the die for that, let me just show you, cuts in two parts. So it cuts solid background and then the top piece. So this one I've had the shiny red at the back and the white on top. I'm going to use the white that I already cut for that, and this time I'm going to do the shiny red on top. I've already cut that little sweetie, but I need that bit that will go on top there, so that needs to be shiny and red as well. And then I've got these little sweeties that to me look like jelly tots. And there are two dies that will cut them. I've already cut some ahead of time, but you will see that they are shiny too, even although they are different colours. And that is because I used clear embossing powder with those. And I will just show you exactly how I did that. Alright, so I've got some pieces of white and real red card there. I've got real red ink and I have Versamark again. Okay, so for my little sweeties, I'm just going to use this tiny little bit here. As I say, I've already gone ahead and done some in real red, Daffodil Delight and Garden Green. I'm stamping onto the Versamark. I'm just going to leave that there for a second. Then pick up some real red ink like so and stamp that on there. Bring in that scrap piece again, and this time put on clear embossing powder. And you should see that that has gone very dull until we heat set it. And I want to do the same with the sentiment. So I am stamping on the Versamark down and up with the real red. Stamp that. Then add that clear embossing powder. And again, it's gone very dull, ready for heat embossing. It's a similar technique for the shiny red pieces, but this time I'm going to die cut those rather than stamp them. So I've got this piece of real red here. I've got my Versamark ink pad, and I am going to basically just apply that to this card so that it gets nice and sticky. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And it doesn't have to be nice and smooth and even. And then I add my clear embossing powder to that, and the whole bit looks like it's sugar coated quite appropriately. Okay, so once again, I'm going to tidy up a little bit, and then I will heat set these, but I will absolutely definitely need my tweezers for that. So once again, I will put this on mute and fast forward whilst I do this stage. And there we go, we've got some shiny real red. It does take it down a shade really, but I love that effect. And I love heat embossing at the best times. It's still magical to me, but when you do it to a whole piece of card like that, it's even more magical. So again, I'm going to let that cool before I do my die cutting with those pieces. This is just going to line up on like that. I will use a little bit of washi tape on that. And I cut. I can bring back this piece though and show you what I'm going to do with die cutting this. So, as you can tell, there's a straight line between the two pieces, and that's because that will cut out one piece that will look like that. I chopped his leg off, and essentially be a card on its own. Okay, inside that just says get well soon. I don't particularly want mine to have a chopped off arm, and you can see I managed to get it nice and rounded on that, and I'm going to show you how. So I'm going to line that up like so, and that line won't cut, it will only put a kind of score line on that. So I get that lined up as best I can with a nice even border. I'm going to put that through my cut and emboss, and I will bring this on. However, I will say that my camera always shakes when I try and cut and emboss on screen. So I have platform 1, 2, a very well used 3, then I've got my card with my gingerbread man die on it, and then another clear 3 on top. Just need to pop that in and then wind that through. Okay, I'm going to just wind that back so I'm not cutting too much into my plate. Okay. And to gently peel this off. I don't take any of the card off, like so. Right, okay. So it's got that little embossing line on there. What I'm going to do now is line this up at this side, like so. Sorry, I wasn't on camera there, but I'm basically lining that die cut back into the die. Let's just do that again. So it's back into the die there. Tape that down. Gently put it back in place. and I'm just going to run that far enough to do that edge. Like so. So it's just nice and rounded, exactly the same as it was on the other side. And again, just pull it back gently, and there we go. He's got two rounded arms. I'll just pop that on here, and that, and that. And then I'll run those through as well. Just to make sure that that's going to cut all of that. There we go. So I've got my die cut pieces now. Got those. And those are the ones I had done previously. Okay, so I've got all of my little die cut sweeties and these elements here. I'm going to get my Take Your Pick tool. And I only want this piece. Okay. Managed to leave most of them in there for tidying up. So that is super, super shiny and is going to be layered on there. And then we have this other piece that was die cut from that same card, and that is going to go on there. So let me just get a bit of glue. And I'm just going to add a tiny dab, hopefully. A little bit much. Where's my cocktail stick? Okay, so I've got that well glued. And I think the sweetie looks better when you line up that edge and that one with a kind of gap. Like that. Okay, so a little bit of glue. Might need my cocktail stick again. Okay. I'm just going to line those two up. Like that. And then press that down. So I'm not getting my sticky fingers. Just put a block on top of that for now. And then we're about ready to actually assemble this card. So whilst I'm waiting for that to set, I will just put this piece of DSP onto my card base. So my card base, I work in centimetres for normal cards, and is 21 centimetres by 14.5, scored and folded in the middle at 10.5 centimetres. but obviously you just use whatever card base size you wish and whatever layer size you wish. Okay, and this little guy is going to go on there. Like that. Now I still need to do trim this. I'm just going to trim it down to size. There we go, and then I have a little bit of real red card. I can glue that onto there and then trim that down as well. I'll get there. A bit too much glue there, Heather, but I'll just trim that off. That's a little bit smaller than it should have been, but that's fine. We can pop that on there. Let's just get some of these bits stuck down and just arrange them where we want them to be. 3. I think that'll do. Right, so some of them I put just straight down. Let me see if I can tuck that under there. Yeah. And then other ones I popped up with some dimensionals. The larger ones will take a full normal dimensional. Just kind of mix and match between popped up and not. Just going to stick that down. As if he's holding it. I'll pop this one up. Big one in the middle, little ones at the end. Backing's off. I'll put that there. Put this one down. And pop that one up with a mini. And I'll just put this on. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, I made this card for a blog hop, so there will be a link to my blog in the description for this video, and then from there you can pop round to see the other embossing projects created by my friends Jane, Vicky and Verity. But there we have two versions of my Gingerbread Man card, Season's Eatings, and the final touch was to add a little sentiment on the inside, Baking Spirits Bright, again from the Gingerbread Man stamp set, and using Pecan Pie ink. There we have it. Please do go over to my blog post and check out the other embossing projects. Thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, please click on that subscribe button, click the bell and get notification the next time I upload a tutorial. Until then, please do take care. Bye bye.